Hello, everybody. Just let me take care of one thing here, and then all right, there we go. All right, so welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, um, Wednesday, um, October the 22nd, 2025. That means, of course, that it's Hump Day. Fourth, we're in, of course, the fourth of 5 weeks here, or 4.5, I guess, would technically be the case. Um, Friendly reminder to everybody, of course, as always, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. But with all that being said, I guess we're going to need to wait a second. I thought for a moment we did have another person here, but I guess they decided to take off. So I guess we'll wait a few minutes, give people a chance to come in. Um, Anyways, hope everybody's having a good week thus far. Um, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, well, so we're just waiting around for people to show up. Always, if you guys, get another friendly reminder, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, let's see now. We're at 2.5 minutes, looks like. So, if we hit 3 minutes, that's when I'll probably talk about what's on tap for tonight. Um, all right. Well, I might as well just go ahead and get. All right. So tonight I've got one article I'm going to go over from Bleeding Fool. It's going to probably be a little bit of a quickie here, as we will be talking about apparently another comic company or comic book publisher goes down as legendary comic publisher Humanoids files for bankruptcy. Now, I've never heard of Humanoids, so I don't know how it's legendary, but there's an Avi Green article. We'll probably find out a little bit more. Not too big, but just we'll see what's going on. Also, of course, we got the wrestling wrap up, which we do expect to have a little bit more. Is there's some more news? There's quite a bit of news coming out of the WWE. We'll look back, of course, to last night's NXT, as it's apparently the go home NXT before this Saturday's WWE NXT Halloween Havoc pay per view, and we'll get a rundown of that card. Also, of course, as I just looked it up earlier, the next Saturday night's main event will be next Saturday, November the 1st. And then, of course, we'll look ahead to tonight's AEW Dynamite. So, as you know, things are continuing to evolve out of the Wrestle Dream pay per view. We'll see what's going to be happening. I do know that on tonight's Dynamite, of course, the ops of Powerhouse Hobbs, Mojo, and Katsuyori Shibata will be defending the World Trios titles against the Hurt Syndicate of Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, and MVP. Of course, Benjamin Lashley just coming off of their recent reign as World Tag Team Champions. So, and of course, we'll wrap things up with this day in each history. So, with all that being said, now that we are at the 5-minute mark. Why don't we go ahead and get started then? Let's get to the article tonight that we're going to go over here. Find it on my. All right, so legendary comic publisher Humanoids files for bankruptcy. Article by Avi Green, published October 22nd, 2025. So let's see what's going on here. Now, of course, I've never heard of this company before. I don't know how many people actually have, but I guess we'll find out what's going on here. So the Street announced the USA division of Humanoids well, maybe that's why, because maybe it's not just a American company. That might be of some. But anyways, the USA division of Humanoids Inc., which is known for publishing magazines like Heavy Metal, in parentheses, and Mark Waid once worked for them in past years, in parentheses, is closing due to bankruptcy. And this is from, of course, that article from the Street that Avi is quoting from here. Despite the growing market, Humanoids, the U.S. arm of the French comic book, so that's what it is. It's a French comic book company. No wonder I hadn't heard of it before. Has followed its parent company into Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Humanoids files Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Humanoids has a long and colorful history. You say so. Quote, Humanoids began under the name Les Humanoids de Associés. In the turbulent early 1970s in Paris, which, like San Francisco and New York, was alive with the spirit of artistic revolution. As young people were debating ideas in unprecedented ways, graphic novel artist Jean Girard, in parentheses, known for Mobius, and Philippe Drouet, along with writer Jean-Pierre Dionnet, were determined to push the limits of their art and medium as a whole. They joined forces to create the comics magazine like none before, in small words, Metal Hurlant, French for screaming metal. The company shared on its website. Let's give me a sec. You had a little pop up here that. Alrighty then, so let's see now. Let's see, quote, layoffs are coming for the French staff with non-payment of June salaries, sparking shock among employees. Restructuring will make Humanoids more modest, with a focus on the iconic Metal Hurlant, in smaller quotes, magazine, unquote, according to the website. The French part of the company, however, is expected to survive while the U.S. branch is being liquidated. And just in case you don't know what liquidated means, I believe that means basically all of its assets are basically being sold off. If the company went woke stateside, it was probably only, so this is Avi's conclusion after reading all this. If the company went woke stateside, it was probably only a matter of time before they went broke. Go woke, go broke, right? And again, the French division must have gone woke too, yet who knows if they'll learn any lessons in that regard. This is most unfortunately an era where political correctness has sadly taken its toll. All right, so done with that now. Bleeding Fool does have the Indie Comic Showcase article up already, but I'm gonna save that for tomorrow, as normally that takes up a good chunk of the time, anyways, on most of my shows. Um, so we'll save that for tomorrow. So let's see, we're only at 10 minutes here, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and go look around some of the other sites to see if maybe anything else that we can at least try to get us to the 30-minute mark before transitioning into the wrestling wrap up. Because even I'll admit this might seem a little early to try that right at this point. Just give me a second. Again, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything that we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. That goes for both my Rumble and my YouTube viewers. And of course, if there's anything on your mind about anything in the realm of what is traditionally niche, like anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling, and all that, feel free to ask about those as well, and I'll try to answer those questions as well. Anyways, let's see here. Let's see if we can find anything here. Let me see here. So yeah, so that Park Place, we'll try there first. Just going through the rotations. Alright, so nothing there. Alright, hold on, let's see if maybe in the more. Alright, try me TV tunes. And Sarah Bounty in the comics. Yeah, I already saw that. Alright, so it doesn't seem like there's much of anything else going on. Maybe at least check some of the other areas of. We just went through the comic stuff on Bleeding Full. Let's see. Alright, so it looks like and there's not really much there for now. Alright, so does anybody have anything they'd like to talk about or ask? Because open it up right now. Not, I guess I can try to stretch out the wrestling wrap up. Hey, let me check. Actually, let me check one more source for a story because there's one source I've been checked in quite a while. Not that I think that too many people are still using it at this point, but you never know. Oops. Oh, I think I kind of goofed there. I didn't exactly want to do that just yet. CriticalBlast.com. Oh, yeah, we haven't been on here in quite some time. Let's see. Hmm. Oh, there does seem to be some stuff coming up here. Hmm. All right. Well, anyways, well, at least I tried. Anyways, let's see. So yeah, we're coming up on 18 minutes now. So at least we did give it a chance and look around a bit. So I think now I will get ready to move on to the wrestling wrap up because there obviously are some things going on in WWE, some big news items as well as, of course, happenings from last night. NXT. So before we get into the NXT results and all that, let me talk about a couple of interesting news tidbits that's come out from WWE over, I guess, over the last few days. So of course, there's been a lot, with what's been going on with Andrade. There's been a lot of talk about, I guess, how TKO is, I guess, doing its contract, particularly the non-compete clauses. We've all been talking a little bit about how Andrade, supposedly for, I guess, breaching the contract, can now not appear on AEW for like a year. Possibly can't even be involved in any, which many people have totally just criticized the WWE over this. It's just being totally unfair. Now, here's another thing that just came out within the last couple of days. So, former WWE announcer Samantha Irvin, who is now the current wife, of course, of AEW star Ricochet, recently in a tweet kind of acknowledged that apparently for announcers, the non-compete clause is 2 years. As in a tweet, she started out by saying, well, 1 year down, 1 year to go. I mean, basically saying that you can't go to work for another company or at least your rival company for like 2 years. I mean, now granted, she has apparently other projects she's doing that can keep, obviously her husband can still bring in Megan, but still, again, some of these long no compete clauses, it just seems to be overkill. And we've talked. I'm not gonna get too much into the Andrade situation. We've talked about it. There are people who suggested to Samantha Irvin that maybe she should sue WWE. These contracts and what's being revealed from them are coming under further and further scrutiny due to the fact of some of these very lengthy non-compete clauses. And this whole idea of trying to keep talent from going to the other company too soon after that. I mean, you hadn't really heard. Now, granted, there was a time in the professional wrestling industry where people would be, back and forth between, because it was more of a territorial system. You'd have guys who'd be in one territory for a month or two, or maybe at most 6 months, then move on to another territory. So, but here, you have these two national organizations at loggerheads, as it were. But this whole idea of these, long non-compete laws. Now, Andrade, that's a unique situation altogether because it's not that, it's not, I guess, the traditional non-compete clause situation. It was more like they initially said they weren't going to pay him for sitting out the 90 days, so he should have had the right, or he believed he had the right to go right into, he shouldn't have had to sit out for 90 days if they weren't going to pay him to do so. So, which I think most people would agree with. So, yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too, as the saying goes. So, but anyways, in other WWE news as well, before we get into the, going back over the NXT card, so it was also just announced that Lillian Garcia will be making her return to WWE as of course, November 1st at Saturday Night's Main Event. And she just recently signed a 2-year contract with the WWE to come back and do some announcing for them. So many people are calling for Lillian Garcia, who was a prominent announcer figure throughout the 90s and 2000s and 2010s, had announced many a famous match, and her singing voice got her some notoriety too. So, so she's now signed back with the WWE for 2 years, and the injury bug just seemed to keep hitting the WWE as it was just announced. It was announced on last night's NXT that Sol Ruca had suffered a knee injury that will apparently keep her out of action for quite some time. And she, of course, is the current WWE Speed and WWE NXT Women's North American Champion, and the Speed Women's Speed Champion as well. What is now being set up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that a little later, is that Zarya apparently will be her partner Zarya will be stepping in to defend the title for her, and we'll get more into that in a bit here. But with all that being said, with all that other news being kind of put out there, now let's go back to last night's NXT and look at what happened on last night's. Also, one other thing that was, before I do get into that, sorry. One other thing that was announced too on WWE social media by, of course, SmackDown GM Nick Aldis is that now there's another world title match that was signed for Saturday night's main event next Saturday, as Cody Rhodes will be defending the undisputed title against Drew McIntyre at next Saturday's Saturday night's main event. So now both of the main titles will be on the line at next Saturday night's main event. So, so with that, let's now talk about what happened on. So last night's NXT on the CW came from the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. Booker T and Vic Joseph on commentary, and Javon Evans at one point joining them as well. The opening match saw TNA X Division champion Leon Slater defend the X Division title again, and Leon Slater had, of course, Javon Evans in his corner, defending it against NXT Heritage Cup champion Channing Lorenzo, who had Adriana Grace in his corner, defending it and retaining the title in such manner. As we announced earlier, there are going to be the semifinal matches for the next number one contender to the WWE Speed title, the men's Speed title, occurred as NXT's Jasper Troy defeated TNA's Zachary Wentz of the Rascals. Zachary Wentz, who did compete in NXT a few years ago as Nash Carter, until he was dismissed due to some things that came out online. And then in the other semifinals match, Axiom of the Tag Team for Axiom, the current SmackDown talent, defeated Sean Legacy of Evolve. Axiom and Jasper Troy will be taking each other on to see who will next face El Grande Americano for the Speed title. In their first match in a while on TV, OTM's Bronco Nima and Lucian Price defeated former NXT Tag Team Champions Hank and Tank Ledger and Hank Walker. And the main event saw in a tag team match Fatal Influence's JC Jane, who is currently the NXT Women's Champion, and Laney Reed with Fallon Henley in their corner, defeated the Cullings, Izzy Dame, and Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley, of course, who is set to challenge JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship at this Saturday's Halloween Havoc. With that being said, of course, and with everything else that we have talked about, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what's coming up on Saturday there on Halloween Havoc. I invited. Coming up this Saturday, from the Friendly Toyota Center in Prescott Valley, Arizona on Peacock. NXT will be having their Halloween Havoc event. Already signed for the show, of course. Triple A's La Parca and Mr. Iguana will be teaming up, take on NXT's Javon Evans and the TNA X Division champion Leon Slater. In a match for the NXT Women's North American title, Zarya, filling in for her partner Sol Ruca, will be taking on Blake Monroe for the title. In a match for the NXT Tag Team title match, in a Broken Rules match, the Hardy Boys of Jeff and Matt Hardy will be defending against the Dark State duo of Osiris Griffin and Dion Lennox, with Cutler James and Shaquan Sugars in their corner. In a Day of the Dead match for the NXT North American title, Ethan Page defends the belt against El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., who, as we mentioned the other day, is the son of legendary luchadora Rosie Moreno, who just celebrated her 60th birthday this past Friday, 5 days ago. Jacy Jane is set to defend the NXT women's title against Tina Packney in a match that's been building for the last few weeks here. Ricky Saints, who had defeated Oba Femi for the title, will be defending the NXT title against former NXT champion, former NXT and TNA world champion Trick Williams. So that's what's going down this Saturday at WWE NXT's Halloween Havoc. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what's going down on tonight's AEW Dynamite. And they're also looking to build up toward. Let's see, they're just coming off of Wrestle Dream, so let me just check something here. So their next big event, AEW's next big event. Okay, so their next pay-per-view isn't for a while. It looks like not until the end of the year. But they'll have their next event is Blood and Guts at Dynamite next month, or actually in 3 weeks, I'd say, on the 12th. But on tonight's Dynamite, coming from the Boeing Center at Tech Point in San Antonio, Texas, on TBS. As previously mentioned, as was set up at Wrestle Dream this past week, but this past Saturday. The Ops, of Powerhouse Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, who recently turned heel at the event, will be taking on former AEW World Tag Team Champions Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley, along with MVP, as the Hurt Syndicate. In another 6-man tag match, the conglomeration Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy will be teaming with Paragon's Roderick Strong to take on the Death Riders of Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, and Wheeler Yuta. In a 4-way tag team match, as it was just announced too that AEW will be holding a tournament to establish the first ever AEW World Women's Tag Team Champions. Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata will form one team. Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale are another. The Sisters of Sin from Triangle of Madness of Sky Blue and Julia Hart, and the Top Gods of Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. These 4 teams will be participating in a 4-way tag team match. And in a match for the AEW Unified title, Yuji Okada defends the title against Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito. Ring of Honor World Champion and one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champion Bandito. So that's all we got for and I guess I can do one more. So, and I did mention that WWE would also be doing Saturday Night's Main Event. Now, Saturday Night's Main Events now have moved on to Peacock from AEW or from NBC to Peacock. So now the Saturday Night's Main Events will be on Peacock, which some fans are hoping will be better because then they'll be done without commercials. But already signed for next Saturday night's main event at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. So the two world title matches, as we said earlier, were announced this week by SmackDown GM Nick Aldis that Cody Rhodes will be defending the undisputed WWE title against Drew McIntyre in a match to fill the vacancy that was created by Seth Rollins having to vacate the title due to injury. CM Punk will be taking on Jey Uso to see who will take the WWE title there. All right. So, anyways, let's see now. So, not really much more I can say. We're really coming up a little early here. Let me search one last time. We go through one last time to see if there's maybe any kind of quickies I could find to talk about before we start to wrap things up here. Sometimes you never know because sometimes things just seem to pop up here. Nothing there, but actually, let me see something here. The thing I'm looking at right now, because BTV has a quizzes section. I'm just thinking, should I do that or no? You guys like to see that? Let's see. Let's see. All right. 38. Right. Why don't actually maybe we can do some of these. Let's see. Let me go back and check some of these out, as it were. I just watched it too. Actually, I think I know what I will do, but I'll. All right, so let's see now. So, and a little bit of a twist to something that we haven't really done this before, and I know somebody once suggested I try showing myself playing video games like some people do. maybe in this case we're not going to show a video game as much, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a quiz and you guys and kind of at least do one of these quizzes from the MeTV Tunes site and check that out. And if you guys want to try to answer too, we can do it together. In fact. All right. So anybody in there and interested, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna play one of these MeTV Tune quizzes. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'll like roll it down. I'll read off the question. I'll give you guys a chance to answer before I answer it for real. See if anybody wants to try to gather a guess here on it. So, and this one was just one that was just on the other day. In fact, let's see. How well do you remember Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School? Now, Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School came out in 1988 as one of the cartoon specials where Shaggy was wearing a red shirt instead of a green one. So, are you the coolest ghoul in school? This one actually came out on my birthday. Wow, okay. So, we have another spooky Halloween quiz for you. This time it's about Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, a 1988 classic where Shaggy takes a teaching job at a girls' school, but not at a girls' school, but a ghoul school. Let's see how well you remember the haunting tale. So, what subject is Shaggy going to teach? Now, before I answer, I want to see if anybody wants to start, and just feel free to like type in answers in the chat if you guys want to give it a shot. I'll give you a moment or two, see if anybody's gonna try to answer. Let's see. So which class? If you remember watching the movie, which class did Shaggy going to teach? Is he going to teach gym, social studies, or home economics? So which class in Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School? Which class did Shaggy teach? Gym, home economics, or social studies? I know I said I'm a little out of order there, but see if you guys want to. All right, as I see that there's nobody answering there, I will go ahead and put answer I think in there, which I believe is Jim, and I'm correct. Now, of course, since I just saw it the other day too. I just saw it the other day too. It may not be necessarily completely fair because, of course, I just saw it, so it's in more recent memory. Obviously, this question I think was brought up was actually this quiz was put out there before the showing of it. So okay, so what is Miss Grimwood's dragon's name? Sparky, Matches, or Kingling? So what is Miss Grimwood's pet dragon's name? Is it Sparky, Matches, or Kindling? And I'll give you guys a moment to try to see if you guys want to answer that before I answer. Okay, I'm gonna. All right, so I will now match it. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and breeze through these because we're already at the 45-minute mark. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of breeze through these. Which one of these is not the name of a student at Mrs. Grimwood's school for ghouls? Elsa, is it Elsa Frankenteen, Phantasma, Tanis, Winnie the Werewolf, Zoe the Zombie, or Sibella? So which one of these is not the name of one of the students at Miss Grimwood's ghoul school? Is it Elsa Frankenteen, Phantasma, Tanis, Winnie the Werewolf, Zoe the Zombie, or Sibella? Which witch is plotting against the students? So, who's the villain in this story? Is the witch plotting against the students? Is it Evelina, the Witch of the Woods? Maleficent, the Witch of the Seas? Or Revolta, the Witch of the Web? So, which of these is the antagonist or the villain in Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School? Is it Evelina, the Witch of the Woods, Maleficent, the Witch of the Seas, or Revolta, the Witch of the Web? Okay. What school do the Grimwood girls have a volleyball game against? The Callaway Cadets, the Murray Marksmen, or the Sawyer Scouts? So which school does the Grimwood girls have a volleyball game against? And is in essence their rivals. Is it the Callaway Cadets, the Murray Marksmen, or the Sawyer Scouts? Okay. How does the other team try to cheat at the volleyball game? The Callaway Cadets tried some underhanded tactics in the movie. Do you guys remember what that was? Do they grease up the volleyball so that it's too slippery to play with? They plant a remote device into the volleyball to control how it moves? Or they don't cheat, they're just really good at volleyball? So which of those three do you guys think is the option there? All right. Question number 7. What yearly event happens at Grimwood on Halloween? Is it the Halloween Bake-Off, the Zombies Rise from the Graveyard, or Open House with the student parents? So which yearly event happens at Grimwood on Halloween? Is it the Halloween Bake-Off, the Zombies Rise from the Graveyard, or Open House with the student parents? All right. So, how does the witch hypnotize Shaggy? How does the witch hypnotize? So, in order to get to the girls, how does Revolta get to Shaggy? Her bats put spiderweb headphones on him while he's asleep, and the witch hypnotizes him through the headphones. Herbat hides a cursed sandwich in Shaggy's room, and when he eats it, he's immediately under the witch's control. Or Herbat kidnaps Scooby and Scrappy. They hypnotize Shaggy while he's looking for them. So, how does Revolta get to Shaggy? Does her bat put spiderweb headphones on him to hypnotize him? Does her bat put a cursed sandwich in his room so he eats it? And he's under her control, or the bat kidnaps Scooby and Scrappy, and they hypnotize Shaggy while he's looking for them. So, what is the name of the witch's green assistant? Is it so the little assistant that Revolta has? Is his name Octo Grumpy, Mr. Greenie, or the Grim Creeper? The witch's assistant. Is it Octo Grumpy, Mr. Greenie, or the Grim Creeper? So question number 10. Who's the next to be hypnotized by the witch? Is it Winnie the Werewolf, Scrappy, or Miss Grimwood? Who's the next to get hypnotized by the witch? Is it Winnie the Werewolf, Scrappy, or Miss Grimwood? All right, I'm just gonna. So, how does Scrappy get them into the witch's castle? Does he find a secret trail through the bog? He creates a catapult and launches them straight into the castle. He tricks a dragon to fly them there. That's one I don't remember off the top of my head. With most likely Scooby-Doo cartoon. Yep. All right. Who gets trapped in the mirror and replaced with a mirror monster? Is it Scooby, Shaggy, or Scrappy? Who gets trapped in the mirror and gets replaced by a mirror monster, or basically the evil version of the character? Is it Scooby, Shaggy, or Scrappy? Question 13. Shaggy, Scrappy, Scooby, and the dragon get thrown into a well. What is the monster in the well called? So, Scooby, Shaggy, Scrappy, Scooby, and the dragon, they all matches. They all get thrown down into the well. What's the monster called that's in the well with them? Is it the well monster, the well walloper, or the well dweller? So, who's the monster in the well with our heroes? Is it the well monster, the well walloper, or the well dweller? So, what does the witch turn Scooby into, and how does he break her spell? Let's see. Does she turn him into a toad, and he knocks things into her potion, breaking the spell? Does he get turned into a squid, and he grabs her with his tentacles, so she can't cast a spell? Or does he get turned into an elephant, and he stomps around and destroys her castle? Is it a toad and knocks things into her potion, breaking the spell? A squid, and he grabs her with the tentacles so she can't cast the spell? Or an elephant and he stomps around, destroys the castle? All right. Now, the last answer there sounds more like what happened in the Transformers episode, Grimlock, not Grimlock, but Call of the Primitives, in which at the very end, Grimlock, after saving the universe, starts dancing around happily, only to destroy the villain of that particular episode's So, question 15 looks like this is the last question here. Which one of these things happens at the end of the movie? The Grimwood students have a dance recital. Fred, Daphne, and Velma show up to take the guys home. Or Scrappy Rap. So, what happened? What's the last big event of the episode or of the movie? Is it the Grimwood students have a dance recital? Fred, Daphne, and Velma show up to take the guys home, or Scrappy Raps. Oh, I got Scrappy Raps. Okay, I missed one. So I got 14 out of 15. So that's not bad. Share that. Awoo, awoo! We're howling for you because you did so good. Awoo! All right. So, anyways, even I'm not perfect, right? But then I never claimed to be, so anybody who claims to be perfect is fooling themselves. All right, so with that being said, so after that little fun time we just had, hope everybody enjoyed the show. We actually a little over than what I was hoping to do, so I'll have to keep that in mind. But with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back here with more niches tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, we'll be doing the Indie Comics Showcase. Also, don't forget this Sunday I'll be joined by Apex from Apex Comics. We'll be starting our coverage of July 1940. We'll be looking at comics that went on sale from DC in July 1940. One of the stories we'll be covering is when Joker and Catwoman first met. So, with that being said, I shall see you all tomorrow. Bye.